During the National Salute to Hospitalized Veterans, Chuck Norris showed more than skill or fame. He displayed a bond that goes beyond medals or recognition. Strength, the kind he embodies, isn't the kind of strength you see on the big screen. It's quiet, steadfast, and often invisible. A strength that helps you rise when life seems determined to keep you down. At 85 years old, Chuck Norris is recognized by millions for his films and martial arts, but his real story begins long before Hollywood lights and red carpets. It is a story of resilience, discipline, and the kind of courage that is formed in the face of fear, loss, and uncertainty. A childhood in shadows, Carlos Ray Norris, the boy who would become known to the world as Chuck, grew up in a small Oklahoma town called Ryan. To outsiders, it was quiet and unremarkable, but inside a small weathered house, the walls held shadows that were too heavy for a child to bear. Poverty, fear, and tension were constants. His father, Ray Norris, had served in the military, wearing a suit that symbolized honor, but he returned a changed man, carrying scars from the battles no one else could see. The man who had once fought for his country now struggled with his own inner turmoil, often turning his pain into anger that shook the walls of their home. Nights were long and frightening, filled with shouting, slammed doors, and the kind of tension that leaves a child bracing for impact with every heartbeat. In this environment, young Chuck learned to stay quiet, to hide, and to survive. The light of a mother. Amid the darkness, Wilma, Chuck's mother, shone as a beacon of hope. She bore the weight of raising 3 boys alone, carrying them through hardships with faith and courage. She scrimped and saved, hiding what little money she could to provide food and a semblance of safety. Wilma's prayers and her steadfast care were the anchors in a house filled with uncertainty, and young Chuck clung to her strength, even when the world around him seemed unrelenting. At 14, Chuck's fear had evolved into something more, a simmering determination, a quiet resolve that one day he would rise above the life that had threatened to define him. The resolve was tested one night when his father's anger escalated beyond control. With a hammer raised in fury, Chuck, though trembling, positioned himself to protect his mother, silently vowing never to become the kind of man he feared. In that moment, a fighter began to emerge, forged not in triumph, but in survival. Leaving the past behind at 16, Wilma made the courageous decision to leave the life that had been so destructive, packing the family into a car and moving to California. It was not a promise of happiness, but it was freedom, the chance to breathe, to escape the fear, and to start again. For Chuck, it was more than a relocation. It was a rebirth. The scars of Oklahoma did not vanish, but they became a quiet source of strength, shaping the man he would become. He carried with him the lessons of resilience, endurance, and courage, even before he knew how to fight in the traditional sense. The move marked the end of one chapter and the beginning of another, one that would test him in ways both physical and emotional. The discipline of the Air Force. At 18, seeking structure and a way to build himself from the inside out, Chuck joined the Air Force. The military offered him discipline, a framework where chaos could be transformed into strength. He was miles from home, far from the scars that had shaped him, and he immersed himself in routines that would build both body and mind. In South Korea, he discovered martial arts, though it was not love at first sight. The mats were unforgiving, the training harsh, and his early attempts were filled with failure. Yet with every stumble, he heard an internal voice urging him to rise, to persist, and to refuse to surrender. Days and months passed, and every hour spent practicing kicks, strikes, and forms chipped away fear, replacing it with a quiet, unshakable confidence. Martial arts became his language, his therapy, and his path to mastery over both himself and the chaos of the past. Returning home and building a future. After leaving the Air Force in 1962, Chuck returned to California carrying more than discipline. He carried the embodiment of resilience. He opened a small karate school with little more than a dream and an unyielding determination to succeed. The first days were often empty, quiet except for the sound of his own footsteps across polished mats. Yet he showed up every day, pouring every ounce of effort into teaching and demonstrating discipline. Slowly, students began to arrive, drawn not just to his skill, but to the integrity and perseverance he demonstrated. By 1964, his focus shifted from teaching to testing his own limits. Martial arts competitions became his proving ground, a place to measure the man he had become against others and against the boy he had once been. Through repeated trials, practice, and endurance, Chuck evolved from a shy, uncertain youth into a disciplined, relentless competitor. A champion emerges. By 1967, the transformation was complete. Chuck Norris had become a formidable martial artist, winning his first major title and quickly establishing himself as the professional middleweight karate champion for 6 consecutive years. He gained respect not for showmanship, but for unwavering dedication and the quiet strength that carried him through years of struggle. Medals and trophies were not his goal. They were markers of perseverance, proof that a boy who had once feared the world could now master it. This mastery, however, was only the beginning. The next chapter of his life would challenge him not in the dojo, but in front of cameras, lights, and a global audience eager for heroes. Crossing into Hollywood. In 1972, Chuck stepped onto the set of The Way of the Dragon in Rome, facing Bruce Lee, a man revered for his speed, skill, and fame. Fear was present, but so was preparation, discipline, and an understanding that every fight, on screen or off, required courage. The encounter was electric, a blending of 2 worlds, 2 philosophies, and 2 legacies of martial arts. Chuck held his ground, earning respect and proving that preparation and resilience could carry him through even the most daunting challenges. Hollywood, however, was never easy. Rejections and closed doors followed, often for reasons beyond skill, too quiet, too disciplined, too unknown. Yet every no became fuel, a reminder that perseverance was more important than immediate success. Finding recognition. In 1978, Chuck's breakout film Good Guys Wear Black captured the attention of audiences and critics alike, transforming him from an overlooked fighter into a cinematic icon. The 1980s solidified his status, with films like The Octagon, Lone Wolf McQuade, Missing in Action, Code of Silence, and The Delta Force showcasing his skill, discipline, and screen presence. Fans admired him not just for his martial arts, but for the values he represented: loyalty, courage, and strength tempered by integrity. Yet behind the cameras, life was far from perfect. The fame and adoration could not erase the quiet moments when memories of loss and struggle surfaced. Personal loss and resilience. The war in Vietnam had taken Chuck's younger brother, leaving an indelible mark on his heart. The grief of that loss was private, a quiet shadow that followed him, despite success, movies, and accolades. Similarly, personal relationships brought joy and challenge. His first marriage to Diane Holchek spanned decades, and though it endured through difficult early years, the pressures of fame and travel eventually led to separation. Adding to these challenges, Chuck discovered later in life the existence of a daughter he had not known, born during his time in the military. The delayed connection brought both regret for lost time and the opportunity for grace and reconciliation, reinforcing lessons of patience, forgiveness, and love. Love and new beginnings. In 1998, Chuck married Gina O'Kelly, a steady presence who brought calm and warmth into his life. Together they built a home filled with laughter, love, and family. In 2001, twins Dakota and Dan Lee joined their lives, transforming the Texas ranch into a true home. The focus shifted from career to family, from public image to private joy. The man who had once fought to survive now fought to nurture, protect, and cherish the small but profound moments of life. Trials and devotion. Life, however, continued to test Chuck's resilience. In 2013, a medical crisis involving Gina brought new challenges. What began as a routine procedure escalated into a life-threatening situation, threatening the strength and stability of the woman who had become his anchor. Chuck's response was unwavering. He devoted himself entirely to her care, traveling, seeking treatments, and remaining by her side through every uncertainty. Fame, fortune, and public adoration mattered little in comparison to the quiet, persistent fight to preserve life and love. Through this ordeal, Chuck's strength became not an exhibition of martial skill, but a testament to devotion, courage, and enduring commitment. Strength beyond the screen. Chuck Norris's life teaches a profound lesson about the nature of strength. True strength is not about titles, medals, or physical prowess alone. It is about resilience in the face of fear, discipline in the midst of chaos, and the capacity to love and protect when circumstances threaten to overwhelm. From the small house in Oklahoma to the bright lights of Hollywood, From the martial arts dojo to the quiet vigil by a loved one's bedside, his journey demonstrates that strength is forged through adversity, humility, and perseverance. A life of discipline and legacy. Even in moments of public success, Chuck remained committed to the principles that had shaped him: discipline, hard work, and respect for others. Martial arts were never just a career. They were a language of life, teaching him to channel fear, focus energy, and cultivate confidence. His legacy extends beyond films and championships. It resides in the lives he touched through teaching, mentoring, and embodying values of integrity and courage. Every act, every decision, and every sacrifice has reinforced a lesson that resonates universally: that a person's true strength is measured not by what they can conquer outwardly, but by what they endure and nurture inwardly. Reflection and inspiration, Chuck Norris's journey is more than a biography. It is a meditation on human resilience. It reminds us that childhood scars, loss, setbacks, and personal hardships do not define our limits. They shape our capacity to grow. His story encourages patience, persistence, and courage in the pursuit of self-mastery, personal growth, and love. Behind the iconic screen presence, the accolades, and the fame lies a man who has faced life's fiercest battles and emerged not unbroken, but unbowed. Conclusion. From Ryan, Oklahoma, to the stages of Hollywood and the quiet moments on his Texas ranch, Chuck Norris exemplifies a life of discipline, courage, and devotion. His story is a testament to the power of resilience, the strength found in love, and the capacity to endure when the world seems most challenging. It shows that true heroism is not defined by public recognition, but by the quiet, steadfast commitment to rise above adversity, protect those we love, and live with integrity. Every challenge, from childhood struggles to personal loss, has forged a man whose life offers lessons far beyond martial arts or films. Lessons about love, courage, perseverance, and the enduring power of the human spirit.